Hey guys, Rob from Outdoor 76. Love the comments from the last video we did. As you can see, we're going to talk about shoes today. Tons of stuff about shoes came up. Lots of specific problems we saw that were brought up related to mostly biomechanic issues, things related to pronation, gait, plantar fasciitis. Saw a lot of that come up. And a lot of those things are individual, and we'll try to address those in future videos. We may reach out to you guys individually to talk about those things. What we're going to talk about today too is also a very individual thing, but is easily the number one contributing factor to most of the problems we see, and it's simply fit. That's it, just fit. There's a reason they call it shoe fitting. There are so many problems that are connected to fit. Most of the neuropathic issues we see, Morton's neuroma, lots of circulation issues, circulatory problems are contributing to fit, or fit contributes to them. Blisters, dermal problems, all fit related. And we're going to try to talk a little bit about that today. So again, I don't want you guys to be at the end of this video going, okay, hey, great, you helped me discover what my problem is. Now how do I fix it? The way to fix that is go see somebody who knows what they're doing. Give us a call. We'll try to help you out as best we can. But this is a science. This is something that has had to become more involved, especially as shoes have developed. They've become more dynamic. This process has only become more important, and we live in a system where people are order givers with shoes. They walk into a shoe store and go, hey, go give me this in a 10, or go give me that in a 10, or go give me this in a 7 and that in a 7. And folks don't know what they're asking for. They see these and they're all apples. You go, hey, you got a table full of trail runners here, which is partially true, and that's about it. So fit, where does it start? Most of it starts with our perception of our shoe size. A lot of us think we are a shoe size. For years, I thought I was a 10. When we opened this business, I had a closet full of size 10 shoes, and the way they fit was my normal. And when you start with a perception, then you start to chase the other things. And the things that make up fitting are size, shape, and volume. All of those have to work together. If the size isn't right, doesn't matter if you get the shape right or the volume right. Size has got to be right. And there's a reason, a lot of you guys have seen this, there's a reason that these guys have three different measurements on them. This is the process for fitting a foot is an algorithm. It's a series of steps. And the number of folks that have put their foot on a Brandick and went, hey, listen, my toe ends here. Look, see, man, I'm a 10. My toes end just past a 10 on a Brandick, but I don't wear a size 10 shoe. Anyway, there's three things here, and they all have to work together. And if you're not using them together the way they were intended to be used, you're not going to get the right answer. Some of it's subjective. When we're looking at an individual's foot, we're taking a handful of measurements. We're looking at how feet change shapes, and then we're looking at the shape of an individual's foot, comparing that to what we know about how different shoe manufacturers build shoes and how they shape shoes. We're looking at volume. How much room does someone's foot take up? Case in point there, Corey, if you guys know Corey, tall guy, he's got a shoe size that's two sizes bigger than mine, but I would argue that we maybe have the same volume. Our feet take up the same amount of space, and those are two different things. Not to say that we can interchange shoes. Anyway, this could probably be rounded up best in a story we had happen early this season. In fact, it was actually right before the shutdown. A hiker came in. We see this all the time. This hiker walked in. They were from out of town on their way to Springer. And it was a woman probably in her late 40s, early 50s. And she said, listen, I've had shoe problems my whole life. I really want to hike the trail. I've spent thousands of dollars on shoes. Couldn't find anything that works. Hopefully you can help me out. So she came in, took a bunch of measurements, and looked at her feet, asked her a bunch of questions. And the first shoe I brought out was this one. Handed it to her. And she goes, is that the Brooks Cascadia? And I said, yes, ma'am, it is. And she said, don't waste your time. I bought that shoe online, and didn't work for me. I wore it around, hiked in it for a little bit. The retailer I got it from let me send it back, and it killed my feet. Not impressed. Let's move on. And I said, well, do me a favor. Walk around in this one for a little bit, just kind of take it in, and let me know what you think. And she did that, and just after a few minutes, she came back and was really, really impressed by how the shoe fit. And I think she had asked, was this an updated version? Is this a different iteration of the shoe that I don't know about? And I said, nope. I said, remind me what size you bought when you bought all your shoes online. And she said that she bought an 8.5, and she went to an 8.5 because she normally wore 8s, And based off of what, the mantra that's widespread in the community, go up a half a size, she went to an 8.5, but her perception was that she was a size 8 foot, and she bought shoes accordingly. I showed her the box and the shoes she was walking around in, and it was a 10. And I didn't just swing for the fences with a 10. She was an actual 10. She measured a 10, incorporating everything we know and put into account. She's a 10. That's what she belonged in. And she was blown away. She would have never bought a 10 on her own. And if I could tell you guys how many times we've seen that story, there's probably some of you watching this video that had come in and said, yeah, I wore an 11 and you put me in a 13, or I wore 7 and you put me in a 9 or an 8.5 or whatever, and made all the difference in the world. Sometimes these jumps that people make are way beyond what would be intuitive or comprehensive for most people. And hitting on this real quick too, a lot of the reason that the mantra of, oh hey, go get a half a size, if you're hiking, because your feet are going to swell. Swelling is not size. Swelling is volume. If we took an X-ray of a swollen foot and a non-swollen foot, geometrically the foot's the same shape and it's the same size. The difference is swelling. Subcutaneous tissue takes up more space. And that's what laces are for. Laces adjust volume in a shoe. So when we take a foot that fits an individual's foot the way it's supposed to, laces then can help us accommodate what thickness sock we want to wear. They can accommodate if there is a little bit more swelling or hypertension in an individual's foot. Lacing is what makes up for that, not the size of the shoe. And lacing is different shoe companies offer different systems for lacing shoes. There's different techniques for tying shoes in certain ways that help manage volume, that allows an individual to wear the size they belong in, but stays on their foot and feels right because the volume is managed properly. So one of the things here I want to hit on too is that this is not a cure-all. This is not an exact science. In fact, sometimes we get it wrong, but this is something that a lot of people don't get right. We have a lot of dynamic here. A lot of people look at this table and go, hey, Rob, you got a table full of trail runners. Think of all apples, and these are not all apples. And what happens is that when people do chase fit and have some of the, let's say, wrong perceptions of their feet, they can get into things they don't belong in. Here we have different amounts of stack, cushion. We have lower stack, more bilateral stability. We have middle of the road stack, but zero drop. Old school way of doing things. Here we have a lot of bilateral stability, not a lot of cushion, kind of more of the underfoot feel that you get in a boot, but in something that looks like a trail runner. There's a lot of dynamic here, and when people start chasing fit, because of this dynamic, shoe companies want to be different. Not all shoe companies want to make what the other company makes. You can get into something you may not belong in. Case in point is this guy right here. We're not knocking ultras. I'm actually wearing my Temps right now. We love this shoe, but just like everything else here, it's not always for everyone. But one of the biggest reasons people buy this shoe, it's the most popular shoe on all the long trails, is because people go, man, I love the wide shoe. I love the wide ultra. And it's not wide at all. In fact, we show this off every once in a while. These are cutouts of liners for a Ultra Lone Peak, women's 38, US size 7, and an Innovate F-Lite, women's 38, US size 7. They're both 7.5, I'm sorry. Anyway, as you can see here, Innovate is actually known for being, for the most part, kind of a narrow, low-volume shoe. It's actually wider than the Lone Peak. If we're looking at this shoe across the metatarsal head, the Innovate clearly has, this stuff for y'all to see here, it clearly has probably maybe 4 or 5 millimeters on it. What's different is the shape of the shoe. The Ultra is more oblique. So when someone takes a more traditionally shaped shoe like this, say someone thinks they're a 10, they put the shoe on their foot, they don't belong in a 10. Their metatarsal head measurement could be somewhere else. They're going, oh, hey, the toe's right, but man, it's so narrow. And then they put this on and go, oh, finally. Man, I love the width here. This shoe doesn't have a wide spot. It's got a wide area. In fact, if anything, this shoe only continues to get wider past the metatarsal head, the widest part of the foot. So it becomes more accommodating. But the problem is we're really not fitting the foot the right way. In fact, Ultra shapes this shoe for a biomechanic purpose that has nothing to do with width. We see folks that go, hey, listen, this didn't feel good, but this did. And they go, well, they're both trail runners, and that's about all they have in common. you start getting into lower drop, more proprioception, things that can expose the foot to more stresses that it may not be acclimated to, can lead to a whole nother set of problems. We'll talk about some of those issues in later videos, but anyway, the important thing here is getting fit and getting put in the right shoe, but fit is so incredibly important. If you don't live in town in Franklin or Clayton, go see interview shops around. Go see somebody who knows what they're doing that can help you out. Email us, call us, shoot us a message, and we'll be happy to help you out. We do lots of remote fittings. We love helping folks out over the phone. We're just in this. This is a service-oriented thing for us, and we love helping hikers and runners and everyday folks get in shoes that help make life more comfortable. But anyway, that's it. Stay tuned for more videos. We'll talk more about biomechanics and the more deeper things into how these shoes are developed and what's behind them. And until then, stay home, stay safe. Talk to you guys soon.